Welcome to Exploring Santa Cruz here on KSQD 90.7 FM. My name is Mathilde Rand, your host, and my guest is Hilary Davidson. Hilary is a Bay Area filmmaker, producer, and mentor. She has directed 2 short films, Mistaken and Turning Tables, and is currently producing her feature movie, 20. Welcome, Hilary.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great to be here. Thank you.
So tell me, you lived in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your experiences.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Santa Cruz, and I have to say it was a wonderful time being here. Santa Cruz is such a unique community, which I feel like I have never found anywhere else. And what I love the most about it was this arts culture that it has in Santa Cruz. And so in high school, I would participate in the theater program as well as dance. And outside of school, I would take dance classes at Motion Pacific. Sometimes I would do things at Cabrillo College. I mean, it was just such a great place for the arts and being exposed to that. And I just had a great time.
Where do you live now?
I live over the hill. I'm in Milpitas, and I've lived all over the Bay Area. And since then, I've gone through quite a journey, kind of finding different arts practices that I want to continue. So I've dabbled with some music, more dancing, and then kind of made my way to filmmaking.
What inspired you to make films?
I would say it kind of happened almost accidentally because I was getting back into acting, and I had taken a break really since I had been doing it in high school. And so it was probably in 2016 or 2017. I was like, okay, why have I not been doing this? So I got onto something called SF Casting, where I was looking for different acting opportunities. And I would start to do these auditions and drive up to San Francisco for 5 minutes and then get sent back. And I was like, you know what? That's it. I want to stick with just Santa Cruz and San Jose auditions. I got accepted into a short film and was acting. And then I also worked on another project actually here at the Santa Cruz Community Television. And once I started working in film, I was like, wow, this is great. Why don't I make a movie? I met some really awesome friends who collaborated with me on the first one called Mistaken. So I co-wrote that one and co-directed that with Jen Flor Matthews. And I was pretty much hooked by the time we finished that. And I was just wanted to keep making more. So I went from the first one and said, okay, for the next one, Turning Tables, I'll act in it, sure, but I really want to be writing and directing it and coming up with the story behind it. So
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
In a very short period of time.
Yeah.
So that inspired you to make films. Did you submit anything to any festivals?
Yeah, I submitted Turning Tables, and that one got into 4 different festivals. So the Albany Film Fest, which is up north past Berkeley, California. Mm-hmm. It got into the Poppy Jasper Film Festival, which is in Morgan Hill. The Austin Micro Short Film Festival in Austin, Texas. And then it was also at something called the Creatives Celebration at Create-TV, which is the local TV station in San Jose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a nice station.
Yeah, and it was a really cool event. They had all of these short films that had just this awesome live experience where you could watch them, and then they had this award ceremony. It was a really fun night.
Are you still doing anything with community television here in Santa Cruz?
That was kind of a one-time project that I did. I was acting in that one with Robert Kirkendall, actually, who is my co-writer on 20. So we kind of formed a new trajectory together with writing.
So you have different experiences, but you still keep in contact with everybody that you've been working with then?
Yeah. I mean, more or less. I mean, I was really lucky to find just a really interesting group of people, and some of them I've continued to collaborate with. And people get involved with certain things. They try to mix up the collaboration, so you have a nice, fresh group of people and different inputs. So it's great.
You're still connected to Santa Cruz County.
Mm-hmm.
You told me you're coming back every once in a while, but I think the main reason you're coming back is because you work with students in Watsonville.
I do, yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I saw this job opportunity a couple years ago for something called Youth Cinema Project, and that is organized through the Latino Film Institute. And they do something where they have a year-long program that's in elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools in different areas. So in the Santa Cruz County area, it's in Watsonville. And last year I taught at Hall District Elementary School. This year I'm in Pajaro Valley High School. And it is a year-long program where students actually write their own short films from scratch, from their own ideas. They learn how to make movies and actually use the equipment, and then they make them. So we have time slots allocated where they get all the equipment out, they act, they film it, and then afterwards, when we're done with the filming, they edit it and we turn it into a movie. And so it's literally everything. It's the whole filmmaking process. And by the end of the year, we're kind of exhausted, but we have a short film and it's great.
One short film or many short films?
Actually, many short films. So depending on the class size, you might shoot 2 or 3. This year, I have 2 classes, and each class is making 2 short films. Last year, I had 3 classes, and they were filming 3. So I had quite a bit last year.
9.
Mm-hmm.
9 films.
Yeah.
And where do they get shown?
So they will be forever on YouTube, but they are also shown at the Los Angeles Latino International Film Festival. That is also known as La Leaf, and that takes place in early June in LA. And last year, they were also shown at the Watsonville Film Festival.
Any considerations of submitting them to Community Television of Santa Cruz County?
Oh, yeah. No, that'd be a great idea.
I'll help you with that.
Okay.
So it's a year-long project. And how is it structured?
So I would say the first 2 months or so are learning how to write a screenplay, because it's very different from writing a story. You have to show things visually. You have to follow a structure. And a lot of times it doesn't sink in automatically, especially for someone who's just young, who isn't familiar with that. Even sometimes as I'm teaching it, I'm like, oh yeah, wait, how do I make a really good obstacle, or how can I get the character to have something to go towards? So once that kind of clicks, then they're writing. And once they finish writing, they do some revisions. We give feedback. We also have our team at Youth Cinema Project that provides their input as well. And then they actually learn public speaking. They pitch their ideas in front of the other students, and certain films get greenlit, which means they go on and they get to be made. And then we learn how to actually make the movie and use the equipment from there.
And how long are these short films?
They're about 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah. Which takes an enormous amount of time.
Yeah.
As we all know.
Yeah.
You said a class, so a whole class. Is it an elective class, or is it a class that was chosen by the school?
Technically, it falls into an English class because it gets a language arts development. It hits that criteria. So it's in the English class, and they either elect to take that particular class that's with the Youth Cinema Project, or they're placed in it. So it's kind of this interesting variety of people that are like, oh, whoa, we're going to learn how to make a movie? Okay. And it's fascinating. It's really cool to see their journey, and they kind of lighten up by the time we're in the actual filming process. All of a sudden, they start getting really into it and lively, and it's great to see them change and get really involved.
And so it's a class of about 30 kids?
I think we have like 27 or so. Okay. Yeah.
If I may,
yeah.
My previous life, I was a principal in Watsonville for little kids in elementary school. And the Cultural Council at that time, many, many years ago, they asked people to write grants to get more art in the school. And so what I decided, because my teachers, they work very hard, and then after school they have to meet to talk about progress and this and that and that. And so I got the idea that if I could release teachers from the same grade level, they would have that particular hour to talk with each other about what the kids are doing, what each of them are teaching, how they're teaching it. Are they going to see any changes because of the kids' responses and all that? Mm-hmm. And so I wrote a grant that we would have 3 substitute teachers in the classroom while they were out, but they had to be artists. Mm-hmm. So we found artists in visual arts, in drama, and one in video. Mm-hmm. It was a great experience for the kids. And it was great for me to go into this classroom and see what was the response from the kids. And at one point, I came into the classroom where some kids have no problem speaking out. Mm-hmm. But there was this one kid whose turn it was to do an interview with the microphone, the camera running. And I had never, ever seen that kid do anything in the class than just kind of shying away from communication and participation. And this kid was sitting there asking the most intelligent questions and having this interview and responding to what the person was saying in a way that is unbelievable. Yeah. What did this person, this video person, do with these kids? Mm-hmm. Do you have responses like that?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, really in the first part of the year, everybody's very quiet. They're writing their stories and they're very shy. And then all of a sudden, as we start getting the equipment out and people have to communicate with each other, because like, hey, can you move the boom pole over a foot? They're forced to be in these situations where they collaborate and all of a sudden they come to life. And it's very true. Someone who was quiet in the back corner all of a sudden is laughing and working on something. And it's great. It's really awesome to see them just blossom. By the end of the year, I don't know, it's like they just have this whole other demeanor to them and they're a lot more confident, I think is overall what I see the most.
It's confidence and willing to participate and feeling that they have something to contribute.
Yes.
It was a remarkable response. And so if for nothing else, that kid was my proof that I made the right decision to go for the grant, no matter how much time it took and how much organizing and all that. But that kid, she blossomed and she got it.
Well, and I think that's very true of all arts. It takes a long time to have them become what they are destined to be, but it's so worth it because it pushes you in ways that you never would have been pushed. And it's awesome when you get to experience it and when it starts to click.
Let me take a short break.
Sure.
And remind people that they're listening to Exploring Santa Cruz on KSQD. My name is Mathilde Rand, and my guest is Hilary Davidson, producing a feature-length film called 20. So let's turn to that new endeavor, making a feature-length film.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, it's a lot, I'll tell you. Going from a short to a feature is such a large jump in terms of writing the script, organizing it, auditioning, finding locations. It's exponentially more challenging. And I have learned a lot in this process, but it's been great too. So I've met amazing cast members, amazing crew members. It's really interesting when you start working on an art project and you find the right people where all of a sudden everybody wants to help each other and make something really interesting. So a while back, I had been taking all of these workshops. Again, this was back in like 2017, 2018, when I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I started taking these workshops, and one of them mentioned when you do start to make your first feature, do something that is true to you, that you can really write about, so that you don't have to do a ton of research. It's something true to you. So I thought, okay, I grew up in Santa Cruz. I know that pretty well, but I also want to tell an interesting story. And I had gone to my high school drama teacher's retirement party. And afterwards, there were some students of hers that I just found really fascinating. And they were a little bit older than me. And my age and a little older were kind of in this gray area of generations. Like, I guess it's called Gen Y or however you want to call it. And this generation had like an analog childhood and a digital adulthood, and we all interact with technology differently. We all trust things differently. Some people use social media all the time, share everything about their personal lives. Some people don't use it. Some people are dying to get the next iPhone. Some people they just don't care that much, or some people text, some people email. So then I was thinking, how can I show kind of different levels of trust and privacy and technology in a story? So the movie, which is called 20, kind of has this odd circumstance that might parallel with the 1920s. So some friends are on the way to a roaring 20s party when they glitch into an alternate universe. And instead of a prohibition on alcohol, there is a prohibition on privacy. So imagine your most recent text messages and emails being completely transparent and open to the public. So these friends are like, oh, this is strange. So they go to a speakeasy where they can bootleg private communication. And in this speakeasy, yeah. So in this speakeasy, of course, they all kind of have their different weaknesses. One guy doesn't trust a lot. Another guy isn't really in tune with using his intuition. So they all have these different flaws. And then as they're kind of put in this scenario, one of the friends is blackmailed and they have to essentially overcome their flaws so that they can escape this speakeasy and this strange world. And once they all overcome their flaws, then they glitch back to reality.
It's like an escape room.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is scary.
Yeah.
So you all came up with that a couple of years ago. You let it simmer. And what was the spark that got you putting things down on paper? And
well, I had started with a very rough idea of just kind of for friends, but then it needed something a little more magical. And then again, after taking some more filmmaking workshops, they really encouraged you. There has to be something really unique. That's why people see movies, right? Because it's a narrative story that you're not going to get in everyday life. That's why people spend, an hour and a half watching these. So then when I came up with that, like, oh, it could be a parallel to the 1920s, but now, and put in alternate reality, I just thought that's when it started to click. And then that was also around the same time when we were being shut down in 2020. So I was working with Robert on a lot of the writing.
That's Robert Kirkendall?
Absolutely. And so we kind of went back and forth with some of the scenes. I would write a scene, I would email it to him. He would write a scene, email it to me. And we just kind of had the time to work on that, which was really nice, to just kind of be focused on this one thing. So we spent a while working on that, kind of workshopped it with some other peers, and then continued to just kind of rewrite it, get it to a point where we thought, okay, this is good enough for right now, so we can start auditioning and then make any other tweaks that we need to. And that's when we just started to go for it.
And you started filming already?
I have started filming, yes. So last year we filmed about 5 days of footage, and I have about 5 or 6 more, and that will be coming up in April is when we'll be filming some more here in Santa Cruz and over the hill.
Over the hill in Milpitas?
Yeah, we'll do one scene in Milpitas and then the rest here in Santa Cruz. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
When you did the filming here in Santa Cruz, was it inside or outside?
We were inside. We were actually at the Vets Hall in downtown Santa Cruz.
So you rented it,
Yep.
closed it off.
Yeah.
That's it. It was all for you. Are you going to have outside scenes?
Yeah, so we have the outside scene actually is in Milpitas, and that just kind of worked out logistically. The things I've learned so much about filmmaking is that finding locations is very hard. Finding locations that work with the availability and your schedule and renting them out is also challenging. So that was something that I didn't quite anticipate it would be as hard as it was. So we've had to kind of just work with what we have and, of course, make things safe for the cast as well. So we have one scene where they're driving inside a car, and we did that inside a studio, of course, because I don't have one of those fancy car rigs, to be driving along. So we kind of mocked that up, and we making it the best that we can.
And you have some film in the back of the car so that it looks like they're moving.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. And safer. Yeah, because I was thinking, gosh, so if you're going to do outside things, roads are going to be blocked off. The police has to be there. You have to get permits.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't have to.
No, everything else was fine. It's been working out great so far.
And Milpitas is going to be easier because of traffic or because of...
It was just this one location that happened to work out for this side of the road. So that's just been working out really well. Yeah.
So you have to be actually smart in give people the idea that they're outside, but they're not really outside. So you don't have to have these. I know I've seen these cars that they that they drive either in front or in the back, and then these overhanging booms and on the side. And you don't have to have anything like that.
No. Yeah, I'll save that for the $1 million project.
Okay. So talking about that, because I assume still filmmaking takes a lot of people. What kind of support do you need?
Well, of course, we need just a community of people that care about either this project or the arts in general. That's really kind of where projects at this level stem from, right? Because this isn't a major studio production. It's very independent, which means that we're bootstrapping, monetary donations and cutting a lot of corners in some places and stuff like that to get it done. So most of the support either comes from just our community of art supporters, friends and family, people that want to donate, people who want to just work on set and be involved, people that have auditioned for the project. I mean, people have kind of chipped in ways that just work for them, which has been really awesome to see.
Great.
Yeah.
I guess, listeners, if you would like to contact Hilary, you can do this by emailing her. And the email is 1985films@gmail.com. And then 19 is spelled out, and 85 is a number, and then films. So once again, 1985films@gmail.com. Or, of course, you have a campaign for the film, and that's on seedandspark.com.
Yeah.
Seed and Spark. So not seeds, but seed and spark.com /fund/20.
Yeah, and I can explain that a little.
Go ahead.
Quick. So we do have a crowdfunding campaign. So that is where people donate online, and if enough people donate, then we can keep those funds. So it is on Seed and Spark. The project name is 20, and we do have a goal, and we're trying to hit that goal pretty soon. So the campaign ends on March 18th at noon.
It's Saturday.
Yes, that is this Saturday. So if you're interested in pledging or want to learn more, you can go to that URL, and I'll say that again in a moment. There's a video at the top where I just talk a little bit more about the project. There's even some clips of footage from what we had filmed last year, and just explains it a little bit more in detail. It shows you pictures of the cast and the crew. And so it's pretty nice to see the whole thing instead of just me talking about it. You probably want to see it too.
Right.
But again, if you want to go to that URL, it's seedandspark.com /fund/20.
And 20 is spelled out.
20 is spelled out. And if you forget what a / is, it's the diagonal line that starts in the bottom left corner and goes to the top right corner.
Perfect. So the campaign with Seed and Spark ends on March 18th, which is the Saturday. But after that, people still may want to be in contact with you, either donation-wise or even interest, and or even sharing their excitement that you're doing independent film in Santa Cruz. They can continue contact you at the email address, which is 19 spelled out, 1985films@gmail.com. We have a few moments for you for some final thoughts.
Final thoughts would be, in the last couple of years, I really changed my life quite dramatically to pursue this endeavor of making a film. And part of that was taking this other position, working with Youth Cinema Project. Part of that was just changing my work availability and stuff so that I could accommodate the film. And one thing I've learned over these 2 years or so is that the arts are so incredibly important. And everything that I have learned in this process has changed me at my core, as far as learning how to communicate better, learning how to be more prepared in life, learning kind of what really matters, the people that you work with, the cast and the crew who you're with, They are amazing, and I couldn't do anything without the people that I'm with. And the arts is what has made that possible. And that is such a magical thing that no other industry, I don't think, can really do. And filmmaking, especially because it covers really all of the arts, right? Because we have there's music, costumes, there could be dancing, there's written material as well. I mean, everything kind of comes into one art form that it's such a magical medium. And I think that people try it out. If you haven't, get involved in the arts and support it, whatever you can do, because this is really the stuff that makes an impact on people's lives.
And of course, the sets,
Yes, set design,
arts,
everything.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
2 quick questions. Mm-hmm. One is, any of your students from Watsonville interested or even maybe participating?
Oh, well, I actually haven't told them about the filming dates yet. That's on their spring break, actually. So I don't know if they would want to not enjoy their spring break to work on my film, but I can certainly ask them if they're interested. We do have a couple of students who are kind of above and beyond with their engagement. Mm-hmm. So I can definitely ask them. Yeah.
That'll be so exciting.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. And then it looks like you're a very, very, very busy person. Uh-huh. What about your family?
Yeah.
Are they excited? Are they involved?
Oh, totally.
Are you seeing them still regularly? What's up?
I just told my mom, I was like, oh, I can't even come visit you until after we're done filming, because it does take up so much time to prep for the film. The preparation is really underrated in movie making. And that's one thing also that I've learned so much is prep takes a ton of time and coordination. But all my family is very excited. They've been supporting me from the get-go, encouraging me, and they're very just interested. They're like, how did you come up with this? So that's great. It's been wonderful.
Well, I think we all wonder how you all came up with it, and we'd love to see it in the future. And listeners, you've been listening to Exploring Santa Cruz with Hilary Davidson, director of 1985 films. And the contact information again, if you're interested in the fundraising, seedandspark.com/fund/20. And if you want to email her, even just to say, hey, great idea, 19 spelled out, 1985films@gmail.com.